The morning sun cast long shadows across Willowbrook Estates as I pulled my Lamborghini Huracan into my driveway. The metallic orange paint gleamed like liquid fire, and despite everything I'd seen in my 12 years as a Marine Corps Special Operations officer, that car still made my heart race. It represented more than speed or status. It was proof that I'd survived, that I'd made it home when so many others hadn't. I'd been back stateside for 8 months, medically retired after taking shrapnel in my left leg during my final deployment. The limp was barely noticeable now, but the memories were permanent residents in my mind. The Lamborghini was my therapy, my reward, my middle finger to the universe that had tried to break me. As I stepped out of the car, I noticed her immediately. Linda Pemberton, the HOA president, was speed-walking toward me with a tablet clutched against her chest like a shield. Her pencil skirt and blazer were immaculate despite the early hour, and her expression carried a particular blend of self-righteousness and fury that I'd come to recognize in career HOA tyrants. "Mr. Morrison," she called out, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "We need to talk. Right now." I closed the car door gently, my hand lingering on the smooth surface. "Good morning to you too, Linda. What can I help you with?" She stopped 3 feet away, her eyes scanning my car with visible disgust. "That vehicle is in direct violation of Section 7, Paragraph 3 of the Willowbrook Estates Community Guidelines. Exotic vehicles are considered ostentatious displays of wealth and are strictly prohibited." I blinked, genuinely confused. "I'm sorry, what?" "I read the entire HOA agreement before I bought this house. There's nothing in there about exotic vehicles." Linda's lips pressed into a thin line. "The board voted on it last month. The amendment was posted in the community newsletter." "The newsletter that comes by email? The one I've never received despite requesting it 3 times. "That's not my problem." She tapped on her tablet with manicured nails. "You have 48 hours to remove this vehicle from the property, or you will face daily fines of $500. Furthermore, all vehicles visible from the street must be American-made sedans in neutral colors: black, white, gray, or beige." I felt the old tension creeping up my spine, the same feeling I'd get before a mission went sideways. Deep breaths. I wasn't in Hellman Province anymore. This was suburban America, where the battles were fought with paperwork and passive aggression. "Linda, I'm not removing my car. It's parked in my driveway, on my property. If you want to discuss this reasonably, I'm happy to attend the next HOA meeting and—" "There's nothing to discuss." She raised her voice, and I noticed curtains twitching in neighboring windows. An audience was gathering. "The rules are the rules, Mr. Morrison. Just because you're some kind of military person doesn't mean you're above our community standards." Some kind of military person. The phrase hung in the air like a slap. "I'll see you at the meeting," I said quietly, turning toward my house. "You'll see me in court if that vehicle isn't gone," she shouted at my back. I didn't respond. Engaging with her would accomplish nothing, and I'd learned long ago that some battles weren't worth fighting head-on. Sometimes you needed to outmaneuver your opponent instead. The next morning, I woke to the sound of scraping metal. My combat instincts kicked in before I was fully conscious, and I was out of bed and at the window in seconds. What I saw made my blood run cold. Linda Pemberton stood in my driveway with 2 men in coveralls. One of them was dragging a key along the entire passenger side of my Lamborghini, creating a deep, jagged scratch that caught the morning light. The other was spray painting "Rule Breaker" across the hood in bright red letters. I was outside in under 30 seconds, phone already recording. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" My voice came out low and controlled, but Linda must have heard something in it because she actually took a step back. "Enforcing community standards," she said, but her voice wavered. "You were warned, Mr. Morrison. You refused to comply." The 2 men stopped what they were doing, looking nervous. Up close, I could see they were just kids, maybe 19 or 20, probably hired for cash, not understanding what they'd walked into. "You, too. Put down the spray paint and the key. Now." I didn't raise my voice, but 14 years of ordering men into combat gave me a certain tone. They complied immediately. Linda's face flushed red. "You can't order them around. They work for me." "They are committing felony vandalism on camera," I said, holding up my phone. and you're on video directing them to do it. That conspiracy to commit property destruction. In this state, that's 3 to 5 years in prison. You're bluffing, Linda said, but doubt crept into her eyes. I spent 12 years dealing with insurgents who actually wanted to kill me. Do you really think I'm afraid of an HOA president with a God complex? I turned to the two young men. If I were you, I'd leave right now. Give me your names and contact information, and I'll make sure you're listed as witnesses rather than co-defendants when I file charges. They practically fell over themselves, pulling out their wallets. After I'd photographed their IDs, they ran to their truck and peeled out of the neighborhood like their lives depended on it. Linda stood frozen, her tablet hanging limply at her side. "This isn't over," she whispered. "Oh, it absolutely is," I said, "but not the way you think." I spent the next 3 days making phone calls and pulling documents. Turned out Linda had made a lot of enemies in Willowbrook Estates. When I started asking questions, 12 different homeowners contacted me with stories of harassment, illegal fines, and amendments that were never properly voted on. Linda had been running the HOA like a personal fiefdom for 3 years, and everyone was too intimidated or too tired to fight back. I also discovered that the exotic vehicle ban she'd cited never actually voted on. She'd made it up entirely, gambling that I wouldn't check. The emergency HOA meeting I called for was packed. Every seat in the community center was filled, with people standing along the walls. Linda sat at the board table, flanked by her 2 remaining allies, both of whom looked like they wanted to be anywhere else. I stood at the podium with a folder full of documents and a USB drive containing the video of the vandalism. "Good evening, everyone. My name is Marcus Morrison, and I live at 847 Oakmorn Drive. 3 days ago, HOA President Linda Pemberton directed 2 individuals to vandalize my vehicle, causing approximately $80,000 in damage. The incident was captured on video, which I'm happy to show." The room erupted in murmurs. Linda shot to her feet. "This is slander. I did no such thing." "I have video evidence," I said calmly. "I also have sworn statement from both individuals involved who've agreed to testify in exchange for immunity. But that's not why I called this meeting. I called it because in investigating this incident, I discovered a pattern of abuse, illegal amendments, and misappropriation of HOA funds that goes back years." I spent the next 20 minutes laying it out. Linda had been adding rules without proper votes, pocketing HOA dues meant for landscaping, and threatening homeowners who questioned her. I had bank statements, emails, and testimony from a dozen residents. By the time I finished, Linda's face was the color of ash. The room was silent. "I'm moving for an immediate vote of no confidence in the current HOA board," I said, "and I'm recommending we bring in an independent auditor to review the past 3 years of financial records." The vote was unanimous. Linda and her cronies were out. The police were called to file formal charges for the vandalism, and a civil suit would follow for the HOA fund misappropriation. As the meeting broke up, Linda approached me one last time. Gone was the imperious HOA tyrant. She looked small, defeated. "You destroyed everything I built here," she said quietly. I looked at her for a long moment. "No, Linda, you destroyed it yourself. I just made sure everyone could see what you'd been hiding. You made the mistake of thinking that because I drive a nice car and don't make waves, I must be soft. But I've been shot at by professionals. I've led men through the worst places on earth. Did you really think I couldn't handle a bully in a blazer?" She had no answer for that. 3 months later, my Lamborghini was fully repaired, better than new. The insurance company had covered everything, and Linda's homeowner's policy was covering their payout. Linda herself had moved out of Willowbrook Estates, unable to face the neighbors she tormented. The new HOA board operated with actual transparency. Meetings were open, votes were recorded, and the ridiculous rules were stripped away. My Lamborghini sat proudly in my driveway, and on summer evenings, neighborhood kids would gather around while I told them about the car's engineering. Sometimes I catch my reflection in the car's mirror-like paint and think about the man who'd come home from war, broken and searching for peace. I'd found it, not by hiding or backing down, but by standing my ground when it mattered. The Lamborghini wasn't just a car. It was a reminder that some things are worth fighting for, even if the battlefield is just a suburban driveway and the enemy carries a tablet instead of a rifle. And I'd be damned if I'd let anyone take that away from me.